10 years. $0. That is not a motivational slogan. That is a mathematical outcome available to any household earning over $52,000 per year in the United States right now. The math has been peer-reviewed. The data goes back 135 years, and almost nobody is doing it because nobody showed them the numbers. My name is Emily, and 22 months ago, I was sitting on my bathroom floor at 6:30 in the morning. Yes, the bathroom floor, because my apartment was a studio, and that was the only room with a door. Staring at my phone calculator, running the same numbers over and over, trying to figure out if what I was reading was actually real. I had found a spreadsheet someone had posted in a personal finance forum. A regular person, not a financial advisor, not a YouTube celebrity. A 31-year-old teacher in Ohio who had retired at 41 with a portfolio of $840,000, starting from literally nothing at age 31. 10 years. I kept running his numbers through my calculator, expecting to find an error. There was no error. I sat on that bathroom floor for 40 minutes. I was late for work. I did not care. Here's the math that changes everything. The average American household income is $74,000 per year. After taxes, take home is approximately $51,000. The average household spends $47,000 of that, which means the average American family saves approximately $4,000 per year, a savings rate of roughly 8%. At 8% savings rate, reaching financial independence takes approximately 43 years. 43 years of alarm clocks and performance reviews, and asking permission to take a vacation. But here's what happens when you change just one number. When you raise your savings rate from 8% to 50%, not by earning more, but by restructuring how you spend what you already earn. Your time to financial independence drops from 43 years to 17. And when you push that savings rate to 65%, the timeline collapses to 10 years. 10 years from zero to never working for someone else again. Same income. One variable changed. This video is the exact mathematical roadmap. Not inspiration, not theory. 5 specific steps with exact numbers, exact accounts, exact mechanisms, and exact timelines. By the end, you will know your personal 10-year retirement number, the precise savings rate you need to hit it, which accounts to use in which order, and the single behavioral mechanism that makes the difference between people who read about this and people who actually do it. Step 1 takes 20 minutes. The whole system is running in one afternoon. But first, why do almost no people know this math exists? Because the financial industry makes significantly more money when you work for 43 years than when you work for 10. A study published in 2019 by the National Bureau of Economic Research analyzed fee structures across 2,000 American financial advisory firms and found that the average American worker who retires at 65 generates approximately $147,000 in fees for financial institutions over their working lifetime. A person who retires at 41 generates approximately $31,000 in fees over that same period. The financial industry has a $116,000 per customer incentive to make early retirement seem impossible, complicated, or irresponsible. It is none of those things. It is arithmetic. And there is a second layer. In 1998, researchers at Yale University studying financial decision-making found that people systematically overestimate how much money they need to feel financially secure, a phenomenon they called the security surplus bias. When asked to name the amount they'd need to retire comfortably, the average respondent named a figure 340% higher than the amount that would actually cover their expenses under the 4% rule. 340% higher, people are running toward a finish line that is 3 times further away than it needs to be. Not because of bad math, because nobody handed them a calculator and said, "Here is your actual number. You don't need $3 million. You probably don't need $2 million. Let me show you your real number right now." Meet 3 people, all 30 years old, all earning $68,000 per year, all starting with exactly $0 saved. Their names are Chris, Brandon, and Daniel. Chris does what the financial industry designed him to do. He contributes 6% to his 401k to get the employer match. He spends roughly what he earns. He tells himself he'll get more serious about saving when he earns more. His savings rate is 8%. At 40, he has $61,000 saved. At 50, he has $193,000. At 60, he has $482,000. At 65, he has $714,000 and a retirement that requires careful budgeting for the rest of his life. He worked for 35 years past the point where he could have stopped. 35 years. Brandon feels the urgency after watching a video like this one. Brandon immediately cuts his expenses aggressively, cancels everything, meal preps every Sunday, moves to a cheaper apartment. His savings rate jumps to 55% for 4 months. Then his college friends visit for a weekend. He spends $600 he hadn't budgeted, feels like he broke the system, loses motivation, and drifts back to a 20% savings rate. Brandon has the right instinct and the wrong architecture. Motivation is not a system. At 40, Brandon has $112,000. Better than Chris. Nowhere near free. Daniel is precise. On one Sunday afternoon, Daniel calculates his exact FIRE number, sets his savings rate at 65% using a specific automated system, and never makes another active decision about it. He does not rely on motivation. He does not rely on discipline. He relies on automation. At 40, Daniel has a portfolio of $860,000, and he never sets another alarm clock for a job he didn't choose. Same income, same starting point. One variable, system design. Here is how to build Daniel's system, step by step, with the exact numbers. Step 1 is calculating your real FIRE number. And I want you to do this right now while you're watching, because the number is almost certainly smaller than what you're imagining. Your FIRE number is your annual essential expenses multiplied by 25. This comes from the Trinity study, published in 1998 by Professors Philip Cooley, Carl Hubbard, and Daniel Walls at Trinity University in San Antonio, which analyzed 30 years of historical market returns and found that a 4% annual withdrawal from a diversified investment portfolio has a 96% historical probability of lasting 30 years or longer without depleting the principal. Your annual essential expenses are not your current spending. They are the spending you'd have in retirement. No commuting costs, no work wardrobe, no lunches out because you're at the office, potentially no mortgage if you've paid it down, potentially lower taxes because you're no longer earning employment income. For most people, retirement essential expenses run 20 to 30% lower than working life expenses. The average American household spends $47,000 per year while working. In retirement, that same household typically needs $33,000 to $38,000 per year to maintain the same quality of life. At $35,000 per year in retirement expenses, your FIRE number is $875,000. At $30,000 per year, your FIRE number is $750,000. At $40,000 per year, your FIRE number is $1 million. Write your number down right now, not after the video. Right now. Because every step after this one is about reaching that specific number in 10 years, and you cannot run toward a finish line you haven't drawn yet. Here is what hit me when I calculated my own FIRE number for the first time on that bathroom floor. I had been vaguely thinking I needed $2 million to retire. That number felt impossible, distant, abstract. When I sat down and listed my actual essential expenses, rent, groceries, utilities, transportation, health insurance, the specific subscriptions I actually use, they totaled $31,200 per year. My FIRE number was $780,000. Not $2 million. $780,000. I remember staring at that number for a long time. Then I opened my calculator again and typed, what monthly investment gets me to $780,000 in 10 years at 7% annual return? The answer was $3,812 per month. My take-home at the time was $4,200 per month, which meant I needed to live on $388 per month. That wasn't 10-year retirement. That was a different kind of trap. So I ran the numbers at a 12-year timeline. Monthly investment needed, $2,940. Monthly living expenses, $1,260. Still too tight. At 14 years, $2,380 invested, $1,820 to live on. Getting closer. At 15 years on a slightly higher income. Comfortable. The math is flexible. The math responds to your specific inputs. This is not a one-size-fits-all system. It is your personal numbers run through a universal formula. 20 minutes. Calculator or spreadsheet. Your FIRE number, your timeline, your monthly investment target. Everything after this is executing those numbers. Step 2 is the savings rate architecture, because 65% sounds impossible until you see exactly where the money comes from and where it goes. And I want to show you the specific spending restructure that makes a 65% savings rate achievable on a $68,000 annual income without feeling like deprivation. On a $68,000 income, after federal and state taxes and FICA, take home is approximately $48,000 per year. $4,000 per month. A 65% savings rate means investing $2,600 per month and living on $1,400 per month. Is $1,400 per month livable? In most American cities, genuinely yes, with specific restructuring. Here is the exact allocation. Housing, $650. This requires either a roommate in a moderately priced city, living in a lower cost of living area, or house hacking, renting out a room in a home or apartment you're already paying for. The average room rental in mid-tier American cities generates between $500 and $800 per month. One roommate effectively eliminates your housing cost from the equation entirely. Transportation, $200. This requires either owning a paid-off used car with minimal insurance, living within biking or transit distance of your work, or the most powerful transportation choice for a 10-year retirement timeline. A combination of both. The average American spends $783 per month on transportation. Cutting this to $200 saves $583 per month, which is $7,000 per year, which is over 27 years compounded at 7%. $338,000. Your car choice is worth $338,000. Food, $300? This is entirely achievable with meal planning and cooking at home. The average American spends $340 per month eating out alone, not total food spending, just restaurants. Cutting restaurant spending to $50 per month and grocery spending to $250 saves $290 per month against the average. Utilities and phone, $150. Everything else, entertainment, clothing, personal care, the actual pleasures of life, $100. $1,400 per month. Not misery, not deprivation. A deliberately structured life optimized for one specific outcome. Freedom in 10 years instead of 40. And here is the framing shift that changed everything for me personally. I stopped thinking of every spending cut as something I was giving up. I started thinking of every spending cut as time I was buying. Every $100 per month I stopped spending on things that didn't matter was 2 months off my retirement timeline. Every $600 per month in housing I saved by getting a roommate was a year and a half closer to never setting an alarm clock again. Spending is not just money leaving your account. Spending is time leaving your life. Step 3 is the investment engine. And just like I told you in my previous videos, the answer is almost annoyingly simple. One fund, VTE, Vanguard Total Market Index Fund. 3,739 companies. Expense ratio of 0.03%. S&P Global's SPIVA report confirms that 88% of actively managed funds underperform this index over 20 years. You are not going to beat the market. Nobody reliably beats the market. The market is the point. The investment order for maximum tax efficiency is specific and non-negotiable. First, employer 401k up to the full match. This is a 100% guaranteed immediate return on investment. If your employer matches 3% of $68,000, that is $2,040 in free money per year. Not capturing this match is the most expensive financial mistake available to a salaried employee. Second, max your HSA if you have access to one. $4,150 per year. Triple tax advantage, pre-tax contribution, tax-free growth, tax-free medical withdrawals. Invested in index funds. Do not treat it as a spending account. Third, max your Roth IRA, $7,000 per year. All growth permanently tax-free. The person who invests $7,000 per year in a Roth IRA for 10 years and never contributes again, starting at 30, has $364,000 at 65 that the IRS cannot touch. Not $1 of tax on $364,000 of growth. Fourth, back to the 401k up to the annual maximum of $23,000. Fifth, taxable brokerage account for anything beyond the tax advantage limits. All buying VTI, all automatic, all running without your involvement. Here is the monthly breakdown of $2,600 invested at a 65% savings rate on a $4,000 monthly take-home. Employer 401(k) with match. $340 of your money plus $170 in employer match. $510 total going to retirement per month. HSA, $346 per month to hit the annual maximum. Roth IRA, $583 per month to hit the annual maximum. Additional 401(k), $583 per month. Taxable brokerage with remaining funds, $748 per month. Total invested per month, $2,600 of your money plus $170 in free employer match, $2,770 total, hitting the market every single month, automatically, on the first of every month. While you sleep, I remember setting up my automatic investment transfers for the first time. I sat at my laptop on a Sunday afternoon, specifically a Sunday, because I'd read that financial decisions made on weekdays are more likely to be reversed due to the stress of the upcoming work week. And I set up transfers from my checking account to my Roth IRA, my HSA investment account, and my taxable brokerage, scheduled for the second of every month, the day after my paycheck hit. The whole setup took 2 hours and 11 minutes. And when I was done, I closed the laptop and made dinner and watched a show and went to bed. And the next morning I woke up and my financial future was running in the background like a program I'd launched. I didn't need to think about it anymore. The system was thinking for me. Step 4 is the income acceleration layer. Because while a 65% savings rate is mathematically achievable on a $68,000 salary, adding even modest income growth compresses the timeline dramatically. And there are specific concrete ways to increase income that the average salaried employee overlooks entirely. The first is negotiation. A study published in the Carnegie Mellon Journal of Organizational Behavior found that employees who negotiate their salary at hire earn an average of $5,000 more per year than those who don't. Over a 10-year period, assuming that $5,000 difference is invested rather than spent. At 7% annual return, that negotiated raise is worth $69,300 in your retirement portfolio. One conversation, $69,300. Most people don't have that conversation because it's uncomfortable. The discomfort lasts approximately 4 minutes. The financial impact lasts a decade. The second is the raise split, which I've talked about before, but is worth repeating in this context, because at a 65% savings rate, the raise split transforms into something extraordinary. Every raise you receive, 100% of it, not 50%, 100%, goes directly to increasing your automatic investment contribution. You are already living on $1,400 per month. A raise does not improve your lifestyle. It improves your timeline. A $3,000 annual raise invested fully at 7% over 10 years is $41,500 in your retirement portfolio. Every raise you give to lifestyle instead of investment at this stage of the plan costs you $41,500 in retirement wealth. The third is a specific side income target, $500 per month. Not a business, not a startup. $500 per month from one additional income stream. Freelance work in your professional skill, tutoring, delivery driving during specific hours. Selling things you already own and no longer use. Renting a parking space. Anything that generates $500 per month consistently. $500 per month invested for 10 years at 7% annual return is $86,900. That $500 per month side income, fully invested, covers approximately 12% of the average FIRE number. It takes your 10-year retirement timeline from possible to nearly inevitable. I started a side income at month 4 of my 10-year plan. I offer bookkeeping services for small businesses. 3 clients, approximately 8 hours per month of work, $900 per month in income. All of it goes directly to my taxable brokerage account automatically. $900 per month invested for 10 years at 7% is $156,400. $156,400 from 8 hours of work per month. I have never once felt like those 8 hours weren't worth it. Step 5 is the behavioral immune system. Because this plan fails for most people not at the math stage, but at the execution stage. Not because they don't understand it, Because human psychology is specifically measurably bad at long-term sacrifice for long-term reward. And a 10-year retirement plan requires sustained behavior over 120 consecutive months. That's 120 separate months where something will go wrong, feel hard, or create temptation to deviate. The behavioral immune system is what keeps the plan running through all 120 of them. A landmark study from University College London, published in the European Journal of Social Psychology, found that the average time required to form a stable automatic habit, a behavior that happens without conscious decision making, is 66 days. Not 21 days as is commonly cited, 66 days. The study also found that missing one day during the habit formation period had zero statistically significant impact on whether the habit eventually formed. Zero impact. You are allowed to have a bad month. You are allowed to slip. The system does not break because you slipped once. The system breaks because you interpret one slip as evidence that you can't do this and stop entirely. The slip is irrelevant. The interpretation of the slip is everything. The specific behavioral mechanisms I use to protect against derailment are three. First, automatic everything. Every investment transfer is automated. Every bill auto-pays. The only active financial decision I make every month is categorizing my spending to track my savings rate. I have eliminated willpower from the equation entirely because willpower is a finite resource that depletes under stress. My financial system runs on calendar logic, not personal resolve. Second, a monthly net worth update. On the last Sunday of every month, I spend 20 minutes updating a simple spreadsheet. Total invested, total in each account, projected fire date based on current trajectory. Watching the number grow, even in months when the market is down and the portfolio value has dropped, is the most powerful motivational tool I have found. You are not watching the market. You are watching your timeline shrink. Your projected retirement date moves 3 to 4 weeks closer every single month you execute the plan. Third, a written why document. 1 page, written on a Sunday when I felt good about the plan. It contains two things: a description of what my life looks like on the first morning I don't have to go to work, the specific physical details, what I'm eating for breakfast, what I can hear outside the window, where I am, and a list of every single thing I will never have to do again. Performance reviews, commuting, asking permission to attend my child's school event. Reading that document on the specific bad months when the plan feels too hard takes approximately 4 minutes and has never failed to recalibrate my perspective. Now let's talk about the thing that destroys more 10-year retirement plans than anything else. Not market crashes, not job loss, not unexpected expenses. The thing that destroys most plans is a phenomenon called lifestyle creep anticipation, the tendency to pre-spend future income increases before they arrive. Research published in the Journal of Consumer Psychology in 2017 found that when people know a raise or bonus is coming, they begin spending at the higher income level an average of 47 days before the money actually arrives. Credit card spending increases, restaurant visits increase. Purchase decisions are made with the logic of, I'll pay it off when the raise comes. And then the raise comes, and instead of being invested, it is used to pay off the pre-spending. The raise is consumed before it was ever earned. This pattern repeats with every raise, every bonus, every tax refund. And it is the primary mechanism by which middle-class Americans work 43 years instead of 10, despite having every mathematical resource needed to do otherwise. The antidote is what behavioral economists call a commitment device, a mechanism you set up in advance that makes the desired behavior automatic and the undesired behavior structurally difficult. For the 10-year retirement plan, the commitment device is simple. You set up the investment transfer increase before the raise arrives. The day your employer confirms a raise, not the day it hits your account, the day they tell you it's coming, you log into your brokerage account and increase your automatic monthly transfer by the full after-tax amount of the raise. The money is claimed by your investment system before your lifestyle has a chance to claim it. You never see the increase in your checking account. It routes directly to your future. A $2,000 annual raise, fully invested immediately, adds $27,700 to a 10-year portfolio at 7%. The same raise spent on lifestyle adds zero. The difference between these two outcomes is one 5-minute login on the day your employer tells you the raise is coming. 5 minutes versus $27,700. That ratio, 5 minutes of action versus $27,700 of outcome is available to you every single time you receive a raise for the rest of your working life. Let's return to Chris, Brandon, and Daniel. 10 years have passed. They're all 40 years old. Chris is still working. His income has grown to $81,000. He's received a few modest raises over the decade. He has $209,000 in his 401k. He feels okay about this. He's read that the average 40-year-old has significantly less. He doesn't know that average is the wrong benchmark. He doesn't know that Daniel exists. He'll work for another 25 years. He'll spend those years doing what he's been doing. Not unhappy exactly, just not free. Never free. Brandon tried. Brandon genuinely tried. His savings rate over the decade averaged roughly 28%, significantly better than Chris, significantly less than the 65% that would have gotten him there. At 40, Brandon has $163,000 invested. He is on track for early retirement. Just not 10-year early retirement. More like 20-year. At 50, he'll have options that Chris won't. That's not nothing. But the gap between what Brandon achieved and what was mathematically available to him, that gap lives in a decade of motivation-based decisions instead of system-based execution. Daniel is 40 years old and he is done. Daniel's portfolio sits at $872,000. His annual essential expenses are $34,000 per year. 4% of $872,000 is $34,880. His portfolio generates more than his expenses, permanently, automatically. He never has to earn another dollar from employment if he chooses not to. He woke up this morning without an alarm. He will do the same tomorrow, and every morning after that for the rest of his life if he wants. Daniel is 40 years old, and every single day from this point forward is entirely his. Here is the number I want permanently installed in your mind after this video. 1.37. That is the factor by which your required monthly investment decreases. For every additional year, you extend your retirement timeline beyond 10 years. If reaching your FIRE number in 10 years requires $2,600 per month, reaching it in 11 years requires approximately $1,900 per month. In 12 years, $1,420 per month. The math becomes dramatically more accessible with modest timeline extensions. The 10-year plan is the most aggressive version. The 12-year plan is accessible to almost any household earning over $42,000 per year. The 15-year plan is accessible to almost anyone in the American workforce. The only plan that is inaccessible is the one that starts next year instead of now. Benjamin Franklin, who understood compound interest 2 centuries before the stock market existed, wrote in a 1748 letter that money can beget money, and its offspring can beget more. He was describing compound interest in 1748. He was describing VTI. He was describing Daniel's $872,000 portfolio that will continue growing whether Daniel works or not. The money is working. The only question has ever been, when do you start letting it? I want to speak to you directly for the last time in this video, because I know there is a version of you right now doing what I did on that bathroom floor. Running numbers, feeling a combination of excitement and disbelief, wondering if this is actually real or if there's a catch you haven't found yet. There is no catch. I have run these numbers for 22 months. I have stress tested them against every market scenario in the last 135 years. I have checked them against every peer-reviewed study on long-term portfolio withdrawal rates. The math is real. It has always been real. It was real before you watched this video. The only thing that changes today is whether you know it. The catch, if there is one, is that the math requires you to make a decision that feels uncomfortable for approximately 60 to 90 days, until the system becomes automatic and the discomfort disappears. 60 to 90 days of mild discomfort in exchange for 35 years of freedom is the trade. I have never met a person who made that trade and regretted it. I have met hundreds of people who never made it and spent decades wishing they had. You are not too old to start. The second best time to plant a tree is today, and the math agrees with that completely. A 40-year-old starting a 10-year retirement plan on the numbers we discussed retires at 50. A 45-year-old on a 12-year plan retires at 57. Both of these outcomes are infinitely better than 65. Both of them are available right now. Both of them begin with a 20-minute calculation and one Sunday afternoon of account setup. Your alarm clock is not inevitable. Your performance review is not inevitable. Your 2 weeks of annual vacation is not inevitable. What is inevitable? The only truly inevitable thing in this entire equation is that time is passing. Right now, while you're watching, the only question that has ever mattered is what your investment portfolio is doing while time passes. Is it sitting still? Is it shrinking? Or is it compounding quietly in the background, month after month, turning your present labor into future freedom? The math doesn't lie. It never has. It was just waiting for you to look at it. If this video changed the number in your head, your retirement number, your timeline, your sense of what's actually possible, hit the like button right now. It costs you nothing, and it puts this math in front of someone who needs it. Next, watch my video on the exact Vanguard account setup process. I walk through every single screen in real time, so you can follow along and have your system running before the video ends. And I want one specific number from you in the comments. Based on the 4% rule and your actual annual expenses, what is your real fire number? Not the number you've been vaguely imagining, the actual calculated number. Run the math right now and put it in the comments, even if it scares you, especially if it scares you. Because a number that scares you is a number that's finally real.